Hi, I'm Jules Taggart with Kickstart Kitchen, and today I'm talking with Kathy Corman-Fry of the Hot Mamas Project about education and entrepreneurship. Kathy is a graduate of Harvard University Business School and also is an educator at George Washington University. And of course, she's the founder of the Hot Mamas Project. So let's get to it. Kathy, tell me a little bit more about the Hot Mamas Project and how you guys got started and what it's all about.
Well, we are the world's largest women's case study library. So, as many people who have come to our events or tune into our digital classroom globally know, I'll often say that's sort of a fancy way of saying stories about women, written by women we know, like our moms or our aunts or our sisters. And the reason that we hooked into that a few years ago when we started, 2005 is really when we won our first academic award and started getting noticed globally. The reason we hooked into case studies is because that's kind of like a role model or a mentor on paper, and then we transition that all online. Role models and mentors are really important for girls and women because there's this saying, if you can't see it, you can't be it. So the visual on that is, I love that we're doing this on Skype. If you're like this and you're a girl or a woman, and there's a lot of studies showing that there's self-limiting behavior for girls and women with lower self-confidence, well, you link them in with exposure to a role model or mentor, that expands to this. So this could be, hey, maybe I'll run for president in my school. This could be senator.
Yeah.
Right? And so that is the if you can't see it, you can't be it factor. And it starts as early as 11.
And and I know that you guys do this through the Hot Mamas Project, but how do women out there find a mentor? We are often asked that question. I need a mentor, but I don't know where to look and I don't know where to start and no one will take me on kind of thing.
Well, the number one thing is, that's an awesome question. I never want women or girls to feel bad about asking that question. Always, always, always ask that question. People are busy. We're in information overload right now. Everybody is. So this is a great question to ask and never feel guilty or bad about asking it. Number two is, if you have a goal, this is how we suggest in our seminars and in things that we do for corporations and institutions, because everybody's not going to come to our seminars, right, to DC. We'll say, have a goal, and then once you're really fixated on your goal that you want to have for 6 months or a year or something, not something small like organizing your sock drawer, right? Say, what are kind of 3 to 5 areas that I would like to get real smart about that tie into this goal? So an example might be, if you're within a company, it might be a promotion. If you're in school, it might be a graduate degree. If you're an entrepreneur, it might be to sell or IPO your business or get to the next level. If you want to be an entrepreneur, it might be to start a business. And then if you just want to do something cool, it might be to go on an African safari, right?
Oh, that does sound cool.
That somebody had that one year in one of our seminars. I was like, I'm putting that on my list.
Right.
So come up with 5 areas. And then what you do in the next column is you try to have 5 people that correspond with the 5 areas. And you might have a couple blanks at first. That's cool, but what you do is your world appears different after you come up with those 5 areas. You go to a networking group. The networking group's not the same anymore. The company meeting's not the same anymore.
Right.
Your sorority meeting's not the same anymore because you're looking to fill that blank. And you say, I have something really specific I want to ask you. And what do you want to ask them about? Well, area number 3 that you want to get smart about may be, when I start my own business, I have a question about, maybe area 3 is incorporation. What legal form should I be? And you've run into a lawyer at a networking event. Do you have 15 minutes? I'd love to talk to you about this. People love specificity.
Right.
So, day and age, can I have coffee with you? They get 18 of these a day.
Right.
I don't want that. So that's how I really suggest in this day and age people approach mentors.
And in terms of formal education and mentorship relationships, Do you think that they go hand in hand? Is one more important than the other? I mean, you're an educator and an entrepreneur and a mentor. You're all of these things. How do women most benefit from the education opportunities out there?
Well, in terms of formal education and mentorship, there's a couple different ways to look at it. I mean, one is, where are you going? So if you want to get a graduate degree, you need to be looking 2 to 5 years out and saying, who do I need to have as my mentor to get there?
And in addition to the mentorship opportunities that you get as a student, what other, if someone was deciding, okay, I don't know if I'm going to go back to school, but I'm really thinking about it, what benefits can they get from going back to school, to either to business school or on to get their MBA, that they can't get just, doing other things, taking other classes?
Yeah. Well, a lot of people, it's an interesting time to get a graduate degree now and get the MBA now, simply because the economy is so tough. So some people are going back just to kill a couple of years, and this is a fact. And another thing, so I just want to be upfront about that, okay, because these are tough economic times. And so then it's sort of like, okay, what can you do to really make the most of these 2 years? And let's say you've got a job and you just are going back to really develop yourself to make the most of these 2 years. All right, so when I was in business school, and it's very common knowledge, people go back to business school to do a jump, okay? And so you could do a jump within your industry. So let's say I'm in consulting. I want to go back into consulting, but I want to be a partner. I want to keep moving up the chain. Great, go get your MBA. Let's say I have been in policy, and I've been working in DC, I've been working internationally, and I want to get into finance. Well, I'm going to go get my MBA, and I'm just going to go crazy on the finance courses during school, and then I'm going to come out and I'm going to go into finance. And I know a number of people who did that, actually. So they use the MBA process to almost go through a metamorphosis, sort of business butterfly process. Mm-hmm. I'm sort of a graduate degree person, right? It's like I grew up in a family where it's like, here's the menu. You will choose your graduate degree. You will be getting your graduate degree.
Right.
Okay. It was not a choice. And my husband is an entrepreneur, and he does not have his graduate degree. And I think he just might have literally freaked out and probably gotten kicked out of school if he had gotten his graduate degree. And he's really an entrepreneur through and through. He has major problems with authority. and so we laugh about it. But it's sort of like, okay, what do you really need to be successful? What's the blanket? What's the hand holder versus what do you really need? Mm-hmm. And we're each sort of this case study, right? So what I have found is I'm more conservative, and the degree makes me feel better.
Okay.
Right? And if I'm just speaking perfectly frankly, okay? And there are times where I can walk into a meeting, and the fact that I have an MBA opens doors for me. So I've had different opportunities because of the graduate degree. So I did not foresee that. I did not foresee the import that others would place on my degree. I knew that I tended to be a little bit conservative and thought, oh, yeah, I'm like a just-in-case person. Okay. So I'll get this, Right. And then what's happened is there have been many scenarios in the future going forward after that where I thought, oh, that's good. Okay, so I've never regretted it. I've never thought, oh, that was really stupid. That was a huge waste of time. So, I often call this, and I teach my students this, personal competitive advantage. Don't be dispensable. Don't be just like everybody else. Have a personal competitive advantage that makes you indispensable. This is almost kind of what I mean. And Sam Horn, who's this brilliant marketing professional, and she speaks all over. She has the Intrigue Institute. She calls it the eyebrow tap. When you say something and it makes people raise their eyebrows, that's what you want. You've got to lead with something when you're a female. This is what I believe. Mm-hmm. So you have to lead with some type of success, because somebody's going to brand you or stereotype, which to me, I've often found humorous, but a lot of people don't find it humorous.
Right.
So the question is, because I'm like, oh, because then I'll deliver something like, oh, I have my own business, or I went to business school, or whatever. And you got to have that. You got to have that to deliver. You got to have the goods, so to speak. So the question is, what are your goods that you're going to deliver? And if you don't have an MBA, you better have some goods to deliver.
What do you think the most serious challenge that female entrepreneurs face right now? What do you think that is?
Yeah, this is a really good question. And it's a little bit of the elephant in the room that goes on in the women's leadership community and in the entrepreneurship community. Okay, so there's the rah, rah, yay, us part. Okay. And then there's the uh-oh, we're really worried about this part. So the rah, rah, yay, us part is the rate at which women are starting businesses.
Okay.
So everybody thinks this is really great, and the census has been reporting it, and it's advertised very heavily, and this is awesome. In addition to the fact that women now have the education to support it, women are half the workforce, etc. So women also earn the majority of master's degrees and PhDs. So all these statistics look great, right?
Right.
Then you look at what percentage of $1 million plus businesses do women own. Well, that's 1 out of 5. This is what freaks out the entrepreneurship community, okay? Because they say, what's the problem here? Are women scared of risk and growth, or are we just making our way up the pipeline?
Okay.
Okay, and or is it that certain male-dominated industries that do offer high growth opportunities are so male-dominated that we're not getting in? And it could be all of the above. It could be, well, we are starting the businesses and we just have to be patient as we move our way up the pipeline. And there's male-dominated tech industries, and we need to sort of claw our way in there. And we also need to sort of band together and say, all right, girls, who's going to go for the big one?
So what do you think? Do you feel like you have to go back to school to get an MBA to be able to be successful in your business? Would that be the one thing that takes you to the next level? Or are you okay without it? After hearing Kathy's perspective, if you've got more questions for her, you can find her at hotmamasproject.com. That's hot, MOMMAS project.com, or at hotmamasproj on Twitter.